Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. It begins with an R and it ends with resentment.
What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood.
You had coffee from room service? I hate you.
With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson.
You don't have to go to sleep, but you have to get out of my face.
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to.
I'm more of a workflowy person. Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy.
And this is Margaret. And today we're talking about when you're doing all the heavy lifting as a parent.
Yeah.
But before we start the heavy lift of that, Amy, let's go straight to mailbag. I want to point out that we don't always have a mailbag. My husband scolded me this morning because he was like, there was no mailbag in the last episode. We don't always have a mailbag. So you
got to earn a mailbag.
Just because you don't hear a mailbag doesn't mean we forgot mailbag. We have a bit, we forget mailbag. There's not always a mailbag.
We got a good one.
Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. Today there is.
Mailbag.
This week, I want to give a shout out to The Paper Dart on Instagram. This wasn't so much a mailbag. This was a sort of, she added us on Instagram, and I love this so much I'm making it the mailbag. She has a picture of, in the foreground, I'll put the link in the show notes, her beautiful baby on a changing pad, and in the background, a really nice looking desk, like a really Instagrammable writing place. And she says, a lot of people who I know and love, both on the internet and in real life, have been talking lately about women's spaces or the lack thereof. She's referring to our recent episode, A Room of One's Own. And it got me thinking about how through this entire pandemic, I was the only one in my family without a place that was just mine, and that includes my dogs. So this week, I'm celebrating this new desk because it's pretty, but also because it's a symbol of the space I am going to start allowing myself to take up and use for things that are wholly my own.
I like it.
Isn't that good?
And same. I also have set up a new desk this week. After that episode, I decided I was going to stop working in the hot tub room, because it has no windows, and I was like, and it has no heat. So I'm like under space heater nightmare. And also because people would like put wet towels on my recording equipment and it would make me crabby. Mm-hmm. And so I've set up it is in my bedroom, which is not ideal, but I don't have a room of my own. And so until my kids go to college, like Amy's oldest, and she's moved into his bedroom, I'm going to have to just have a desk of mine own in my bedroom.
Yep. I'm going to continue pushing for that. Yeah.
But today we're talking, Amy, about heavy lifting. Michelle sent us this email. Can we talk about what parenting looks like when it feels like you're doing it almost single-handedly? We all know how ridiculous demanding a full-time job is nowadays. Statistics show that half the population work more than 45 hours a week. How do we parent when it feels like one of us is overwhelmed by all the parenting demands that should be shared by two, while one's partner has to, not by choice, work instead of being a parent?
This is a good question because I think we often come at it as like, my spouse isn't doing enough. My spouse isn't pulling their weight. But this is one of those situations that if you're in a two-parent household, you'll fall into it sooner or later, that your partner might have the best intentions, might be a loving and attentive parent, but right now you're in the soup and that parent is just not around, is just not available.
2 episodes I want to point you to. Our Fresh Take with Whitney Hawthorne about being a working mom has a lot of interesting stuff about this. And then our episode Dividing the Workload, which you can Google What Fresh Hell Dividing the Workload, and it will take you there, and we will link to it in the show notes. We talk a little bit about this, but we're taking a little bit of a different tack this week. And Amy, this hits very close to home,
Yes,
as you know.
it does.
Amy has been on the receiving end of my complaints. My husband has been in, I guess, suffice it to say, he has had to travel a tremendous amount. Like, he has been across the country for 6 out of the last 7 weeks.
And this is a guy who usually works at home in your house and is at least kind of around all the time.
Yes, he is usually available in the basement. And one of the aspects that has made it difficult is that it always seems like, okay, it's all set now. Next week is going to be fine. And then, of course, next week on Monday, I was telling Amy, he has a very specific kind of knock and body language where it's like, knock, knock, knock.
You're not going to want to hear this?
Hey, can we talk for a minute? And I'm like, where are you going and when and for how long?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
And it happened a lot over the summer when we were on vacation. So he was flying away from our vacations. It has been a huge drag. And so I was interested in diving into this topic this week. How are we doing this when our co-parent, who is awesome, is absent, basically?
Yeah. And sometimes this is, if your partner is deployed, this could be for a while, but it could be still a season. And sometimes there were definitely a couple of years when my kids were little that my spouse was traveling all the time. And I was like the 98% parent, because that was a sort of the bargain we had made, and it wasn't going to be like this forever. But sometimes it's not going to be like this forever. It does kind of go on a little longer than you maybe intended it to.
Absolutely. And that's something that we need to discuss, is this thing of like, one of the central problems of this is just really accepting the reality. And that has been such a pain point for my husband and I, that he doesn't really want to admit that. I mean, my husband definitely suffers from the like, let's just go with the best case scenario. I'll never leave the house again. And then we end up putting out fires all the time because it does keep happening. And so we're kind of skipping this step where we make a plan. I found a site called sometimessoloparent.com. And I like that phrase a lot, because one of the pushbacks, rightfully, and I agree with this pushback, is people who refer to themselves as single parents when they actually have a spouse who travels a lot. So like, are you single parenting if your spouse is deployed, if your spouse is traveling a tremendous amount for work? A lot of people would push back and say, not really, because you're still getting some emotional support. You're still having a phone call. The child still has a parent. I understand that. So I like this phrase, sometimes solo parenting, because it gets at, you're not a single parent, but you are a sometimes solo parent.
Yeah.
And that's different. And she wrote a letter called Dear Husband, Who Sometimes Travels for Work, and talked about the many things that come up when your husband is absent a lot. And the number one thing, Amy, would you like to guess the number one thing that comes up?
Thing that comes up when your spouse travels a lot.
It begins with an R and it ends with resentment.
I was going to get it.
I gave you a strong hint.
I was going to get it. Resentment. No, I have to tell a side story. My now high schooler, when he was 3 years old, his uncle, who is not a parent yet, was playing quite earnestly a guessing game with him. Like, can you guess which animal? Like, I have a bushy tail. I live in a tree. What am I? And he was like, I'm green. I like to walk around outside. I have a shell. And my son just looked at him with such disgust in his face. And he's like, now you made me know what it is. So that was it.
Now I made you know.
You made me know what it was. And I was going to get it.
I was going to get shell. I get it. It's a turtle.
So, okay.
All right. So you know it's resentment.
But back to the resentment.
And this is the thing I would say that I'm struggling with the most, especially because I'm not going to compare what we have going on to a deployment. That's a really different category. But
okay, yes.
There is a situation where my husband, he's not traveling to like go see the sights of Europe. It is a miserable experience for him that is creating a miserable experience for me. And so what I find myself doing is I have all this sympathy as I look at him. I see the stress on his face and in his brain. I see that he's having to leave a fun vacation and go to work. And I think to myself, like, okay, I'm just going to support him. I am the supportive spouse. And then 12 hours into a day with my kids who are dysregulated by his absence. They're behaving badly. And then, of course, like the alternator in our car breaks down and I'm on the side of the road and you and I are supposed to be recording and I'm calling you to be like, I'm on the side of the road. Like things start going wrong for me. And that by the time we connect at 8:00 at night, my vision of like, how are you, darling? I am just here to support you in this time immediately becomes like, you don't know what I've been through today. This is a nightmare for me too. And like, it is really hard to stay out of that quicksand.
And and of course it is, because you are with the kids, and that 24/7 of being with the kids and dealing with the kids and having to do it yourself is a special kind of hard, as we all know.
It is a fresh hell, Amy. It is a fresh hell.
It's a fresh hell. And your spouse, who's, across the country in a hotel, is having a very stressful workday, is jet lagged, is, maybe getting yelled at in a meeting, whatever it is. But any hint from me, particularly when my kids were little, that said spouse got to enjoy half an hour of Netflix in the bed in the hotel room.
No.
Had a nice workout this morning, enjoyed a hotel restaurant breakfast, would send me into rage because
you're like,
right.
I will start walking across the country to punch you in the face.
Right. Because I was dealing with a stomach flu while you had coffee from room service. I hate you. And it doesn't matter that their heart is hard because it's not your heart.
I'm going to just lean in the beginning. We usually do problems first, solutions later. I'm going to lean in with a solution. Block your traveling spouse on social media. Or come up with a rule that you should not be on social media. Because the two biggest fights I know of, one, I have a friend whose husband is a musician. And he, during the dark of winter, always has this gig that happens in the Caribbean. And he goes, and it's work. He's getting paid. He's a drummer in some band, and they play this gig, and it's 10 days, and it's like a big chunk of their money for the beginning of the year. But then there is inevitably, because he doesn't post them, but he gets tagged.
Oh.
He gets tagged in the picture, with a pina colada, and there's a girl in the bikini, and it is not good. I think block your spouse on social media. My sister as well, her husband travels a lot for work, and she just says because he knows not to post, but sometimes people tag him and it's out to they've been working all day. You haven't seen the stressful work all day.
That's what I mean. Right. They deserve a cocktail maybe at 7 p.m.
But yes, then you see the picture of the 12 people trying a fine wine at dinner and eating sushi.
Mm-hmm.
And you just become murderous. I would just say no social media, turn it off, unblock your spouse while they're away. No happiness down that road.
It's a good thing to remember that tagging other people on social media, it should definitely be an opt-in.
Yeah, it should be an opt-in. And I'm fine with the week-long block while they're traveling.
Because it's not their fault. That's you're right. The resentment is your problem. And choosing not to think about the nice Peloton ride that they got to have without a kid pulling on them. You don't need to know about that. It doesn't mean they didn't have a hard part.
There's no happiness for you while I'm standing by the side of the road with a smoking car and 3 crying kids. And I'm calling you to be I'm going to miss our work. And then opening my Facebook, waiting for the tow truck and seeing my husband at dinner in Vegas. There's no happiness. Block.
Taking a picture of his feet on a pool chair,
No, don't do it. Because he's not posting pictures of him getting yelled at by the client.
Sure. Neither are we, right?
Yeah, get out of that. A couple more things that sometimes solo parent points out that come up here. Feeling unappreciated. So they're in their own work tunnel. They're not really thinking about, I often have this problem with my husband of did you ask me how my day was? It's not really, because he's in a paper shredder of his own. Mm-hmm. So he's not really dialed in.
And he knows how your day was, P.S.
Yeah, it wasn't good. There's no happiness for him.
It wasn't good, but he can probably imagine your day with this one crying about, Girl Scouts or whatever more than you can picture the unpleasant, board meeting.
Exactly. Worrying. So you're worrying now on top of your worries. You're worrying about what's going on with him and his job and whatever bad thing or his deployment or wherever he happens to be. So now you have an extra worry. I will say, I can't offer this to people whose spouses are deployed, but I have set a rule in my new reality that my husband is only allowed to say, is it going well or poorly? And that he really shouldn't say it's going poorly unless we're about to, like, it's all going to fall apart and we're going to lose the house.
Unless it's braced for impact. Yeah.
Because one thing I did decide as part of my own mental health care is leaning out of the twists and turns of this, because he had a tendency to be like, oh, it was a nightmare. Like, nothing's working. But then an hour later, he gets something fixed. He doesn't call me back to say it's been fixed. I spend 8 hours being like, oh my God, like everything's falling apart and this is going to be a disaster. And then he calls 8 hours later and he's like, oh, today was great. And I'm like, wait, well, I've been on the kick of like, it's all going downhill and it's a complete nightmare. Another thing I have done is detached a little bit from outcomes of his, like, you call me if we need to sell the house.
Start walking. The car's gone.
But other than that, don't dial me in. I cannot cross over. And then the final thing I want to touch on that she brings up, which I have to say, this is something I don't worry about a lot, but I know people who have spouses who travel a lot, is just trust, like making sure that you are not giving your spouse any reason to worry about what you're up to while you're traveling other than work, and checking in and being really reassuring about that. I mean, I know when my husband is down the tunnel, like my worry is he's not eating. My worry is definitely not that he's like out at the bars picking up ladies. That is not a concern that I have.
You're not a bad person if you have that concern, right? I mean, there's like a lot of Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I think that that is something that is important to underline as well. Like, as you start making the list of like, what makes this hard for us? That is something that belongs on the list for people.
And again, that the traveling spouse, the one who was left the, blender that is your life, that's even a possibility for them, is different than you with the 2-year-old and the 5-month-old.
Yeah, they do not have to worry that I'm out at the grocery store picking up dudes with a barfing 2-year-old on my hip.
Right. If the trust is unbalanced there, I'm just saying, like, that's probably, not your fault. That's situational.
Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about another aspect of this that is, Amy, it's also difficult.
For some of us, tax season is one of the only times that we look at our finances fully. And once it's over, well, that was terrible. And it is completely understandable not to want to think about it for another whole year. But using Monarch and being intentional with your finances in an ongoing way helps you see where your money is going and how you can put your refund to best use.
We are here to tell you, simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop.
Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code FRESH.
As you know, my husband and I are preparing to send, 3 kids off to college, and I cannot tell you how helpful Monarch has been in showing us our full financial picture, helping us to track our spending and reach important savings milestones. Our weekly meeting, Amy, it's now run by Monarch.
Love it. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple.
Use code FRESH at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code FRESH.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
Amy, we're back. We're talking about doing the heavy lifting. And even after we were preparing for this episode, we had a comment on our Facebook page, which was another twist on this that I hadn't really occurred to.
Okay.
Amy, it's not you unless you're posting incognito. Different Amy says, my husband is a firefighter with a lot of various side work, which means multiple days a week he is not home for the morning routine or the night routine. How can we get into a routine of sharing responsibilities more evenly if every day is different? It's another take on this question.
Yes. The problem is, as she points out, is because everything is different, even when her spouse is home, they default to mom does it all because she always does it all. And that's a very easy trap to fall into. Heaven knows that I have. Heaven knows even when My spouse, on top of having a very busy work schedule, is also really into working out. I've mentioned it. So anyway, there was a time when he was getting up at, 5:30 to go to a gym pre-pandemic and work out with friends. And, as far as he was concerned, he got it in before work, came home, showered, left for work. But he was missing every morning with the kids. And so he doesn't do it anymore because we had to talk about it. Like, I need you around at some point. Just because work isn't so all encompassing that you can't fit in a workout every day doesn't mean you should be filling it with a workout every day. You get used to the parent not being around, and then you start to accommodate it even when you don't have to anymore, is what I guess I'm trying to say.
And I know for my family members who are military spouses that this is a huge issue that I know the military does a lot of work around. They call it the non-integrated spouse. And it's like the spouse who just gets used to being out of the family. And then when they come in, it's like there's kind of no role for them. And so integrating your spouse who comes and goes back into the family is real work. You actually have to take some time to be like, I'm going to stop doing these things, let you do them, even though you don't do them in the right way, because I do them the right way, and kind of reintegrating. And I think it can be easy for us as moms to be like, it's too much work to even bother reintegrating you. So we're just going to kind of keep you on the sidelines because it's too much work for me to constantly explain how to do things in the house to you.
And we're not always wrong. Like one time I remember my husband gave my daughter a bath and he washed her hair. It was usually my thing. He was around at bath time and it's like, I'll do it. I'll wash her hair. I don't know what he did. To this day, my daughter and I still talk about it because she was about 3 then. We don't know what he did. I don't know what hair washing technique he used. My daughter's hair, which was like a little bit past her shoulders at that point, it was so tangled. Like you couldn't get a comb through it at all. And then he was like, ruh-roh, this is out of my league. And I mean, it was crying and 25 minutes and every kind of spray to take the tangles out of the hair after he washed her hair once. Like, I don't know how you can screw up washing a kid's hair, but he did. And so it actually was harder for me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just pushing back a little bit in the idea like,
no, you're right.
It's not just in your head that it's harder for you if they do it. Sometimes it really is.
I have told the story before, but it's worth a quick revisit that my son was playing the troll in the school play and at dress rehearsal painted himself entirely green. And then I, that night, had something to do.
As one does.
And I said to my husband, can you put the kids to bed? And then when he came back down to bed, I'm going to say an hour later, I said, was it really hard to get the green paint off of our son? And there was a long and awkward pause, during which I realized he had not removed the green paint from my son.
Oh my gosh.
That his point of view was, isn't there another dress rehearsal tomorrow? Wouldn't it just be easier to leave him painted green? So, I mean, green sheets, green pillowcase, and
green
like,
face, I assume. Like that stuff doesn't
green. Well, like, yeah, half a green face, but mostly just green paint covering every surface of my house.
Everything else. But I mean, and soaked into the skin. Like it isn't like it, it wipes clean with a cotton ball after being on the skin for 12 hours either.
No, Amy, no, it's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. And so that's right. Like, it's not, you're exactly right, that it's not just like we're too uptight about the fact that they won't help. It's like they really stink at some stuff.
Then they come home and they're, yeah.
And it really does, like, it's more difficult for me to have him put the kid to bed in green makeup. And it's more difficult for you to have a kid whose hairbrushing involves 45 minutes now. Like, it actually makes it worse. Christina had a really interesting take on this, and I had not thought about it before. She was responding to Amy's...
A firefighter who has a totally different schedule.
She was responding to it, and I thought this was interesting. She suggested maybe instead of a daily routine, day by day, you could have 2 routines. An A routine for days he works and a B routine for days he doesn't. And the specific things he needs to do on each day are just corresponded to like A day or B day. And I thought, it seems like a lot of work. It seems like a bit of a heavy lift on its own. But I thought, that seems like a good solution to me. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, what my husband and I made the huge mistake of skipping, which was we didn't want to acknowledge that things were kind of going off the rails and that the reality was that he was going to be gone for multiple weeks.
Yes.
Because that seemed like a scary truth.
Right. Yeah.
So we skipped talking about it. Mm-hmm. And then I work out of the house at least one night a week where I'm teaching. I don't have a phone with me. I cannot be reached. And so then that was becoming extremely stressful because if I couldn't find a babysitter, and then I was trying to find a babysitter, and it had to be someone who kind of knew what they were doing because I was not going to be reachable at all. It couldn't be like a new person who da-da-da-da-da. And so we left ourselves in the mode of like panically putting out fires and reinventing the wheel.
Right. Makeshift because it's just for this week and it's just for one more week and it's just for one more week.
Right.
And it's not just for one more week. Right. Right.
I think it's probably worth, and it's also hard when you're in crisis to be like, let's bother to take a time out to have this conversation and make a plan. But I really see now where, because my husband and I were basically ending up in the fight of like, I can't live like this. This is unacceptable. And it's like, okay, that's actually true. I can't live like this. This is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. So I should line up a babysitter for every night I teach. And then if you happen to be here, we can cancel the babysitter, or you can just go out to the bar when the babysitter's here.
Yeah.
But let's fix some of these problems rather than living in the more fun reality of like, I guess this will all just work out, because that just leads to unhappiness. Take it from me.
You know, I want to go back to what Christiana said.
Oh, it is. It's Christiana. I'm sorry.
About the A day, the B day, and figure out what these different things are. What I would put in the other Amy's path as, you know, a mistake that I would make, I think, in this situation is there's an A day, there's a B day, there's a D day, and you, Mom, are in charge of what those days look like. And what happens when, I mean, of course you are in charge, but the person who's going to take on different things, have a conversation with the spouse. What did you say? The non-integrated spouse? The non-integrated spouse.
Yes, the non-integrated spouse.
What are they interested in taking over? If they need suggestions, you've got a few. But if they're like, you know what, I think I could handle, why don't I go to the grocery store on Tuesdays? And then maybe you wouldn't have thought of that. And then that was their idea. And then they really own that. Or I'll have the refrigerator loaded with food for the rest of the week every Monday night. And when I get there is neither here nor there, but I'll work that into the couple days before. Rather than you, as somebody I know who is me, would do, is like, to set up this color-coded chart and then, be furious that like, no, the kerchief is knotted like this on Tuesdays for the flying up meeting, whatever the craziness that there is minutia that you get bogged down in. So let the person who's entering in look at it, see it, and then decide for themselves what part they want to take over.
And I think get out of being the solution to the things that go wrong as much as possible too. So like the green makeup becomes, okay, he can't go to school in green makeup tomorrow. So will you get him up early, clean all the green makeup off of his face, and then go upstairs and wash the sheets that have green stuff all over them? Mm-hmm. Like we do it with our kids. It's kind of natural consequences. Wow, this hair, that didn't work out. Can you either go redo it with a lot of conditioner or can you brush it out? So that we're not always in that. This is what we're trying to stay away from, guys, is this constant like resentment that comes up over this stuff. And it's hard. I just was having that this morning with my husband. I've been having, as you may be able to tell, horrific allergy problems. And so I'm taking allergy medication at night and then I'm really sleepy in the morning. So I said, I'm going to sleep in. My husband woke up a little bit late, and then I kind of came out to like the chaotic morning of, this one didn't have the instrument and this kid's screaming because he's very paranoid about being late. It was just chaos, eat your sausage in the car, like that kind of like morning and I was kind of like catcalling from the sidelines and being like, we can't do this. This is too crazy. And that's really not allowed. I mean, I admit that that's really not allowed. I might at a calmer time later say, hey, can we just move back the entire operation by 20 minutes in the morning so that we're not quite so chaotic because it's too stressful for me to come out to that level of chaos? Or we have 2 boys and a girl. How about I run the girl, you run the 2 boys, whatever it is. But while the spouse is like trying to do it, resisting, and I failed this morning, resisting the urge to be like the voice from the sidelines that's like, that's not actually how you do it. You're an idiot. You're a moron. It's hard.
Right. Because then you become the bad guy instead of the difficult situation.
Yeah. And that person is actually trying to do what you want, which is integrate into the system. Mm-hmm. And if you make it too difficult for them to integrate into the system, I think you're kind of setting yourself up for trouble.
That the wheels are coming off, and like you have to eat your sausage in the car and all that, it kind of proves your point for you, right? Very well. You don't need to say, see how hard it is?
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can take time later and say, you don't have to live with like sausage eating in the car or green makeup on the second day of school, which is like actually unacceptable, or crazy messy hair that is painful for your kid. You don't have to accept those things, but I think you have to like keep them involved in the consequences. And then at a calmer time, I just think that we skip this step of the family meeting where we sit down and say, so that was a nightmare this morning. Like, now that we're having a glass of wine at night, what's the solution? It seems to me that if we just all got up 20 minutes earlier, if we laid the kids' clothes out the night before, like, let's problem solve this solution together so that we don't have to be fighting about it.
I want to look at it from the traveling spouse's point of view. Can we take a break and do that when we get back?
I mean, I suppose. I rather complain from my own point of view, but I suppose we can.
All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
Is parenting going too well at your house?
Feeling too relaxed in your day-to-day existence?
Are you going more than 8 hours without shrieking a horror-fueled diatribe at your spouse?
Sweetie, that was such a great day. Hey, would you grab me a glass of wine?
Try minor annoyances.
I can't find the wine anywhere. I thought you said it was in the fridge.
Oh my God, it's on the second shelf! How can you not see it? Seriously, it's right in front of your face!
With minor annoyances, your days will be entirely transformed in a matter of seconds.
Who left a half-full mac and cheese pot in the sink? Oh my God, this might as well be hardened Elmer's glue. Guess I'll be cleaning this all morning.
And if rageful venting at no one is not your style, never fear. Try a minor annoyance that brings on full bouts of tearful babbling.
These socks in the laundry are clean. I mean, look at them. They're still paired up. What more do you need to see to know that these don't belong in the dirty clothes? For the love of all that's holy, people.
With minor annoyances, you'll be transported to a world of endless mumbling to yourself about why things have to be so minorly, yet consistently irritating.
Oh, sure. We'd love to participate in Spirit Week for the preschool because my kid just happens to have a full outfit of 70s clothes for Wednesday. And then we'd just love to come up with some sort of wacky hair for Thursday because it's not like we have anything else to do.
I mean, sure, major annoyances are annoying.
They're changing the way driver's licenses work, so you'll have to get a new one at the DMV this month if you want to fly home at Christmas.
But try minor annoyances.
Okay, sweetie. You really want ketchup on your eggs? That's completely vomit-inducing, but if it makes you stop crying, I guess we can give it a try.
Because they're part of your life now too, Mom.
I'm in the shower. Can you just give me a minute and then I will get you another juice box? No, you need it while I still have shampoo in my eyes? Oh, that is just fantastic, honey. Okay, but get out of the way. No, I can't open the door. I am dripping water. Let me just get a towel. Can you just... Okay, we're back. So there's an article in the New York Times that we'll link to in the show notes called How Parents Who Travel for Work Can Ease the Burden on Their Families. Sounds good. And the advice in the article is they should dive in when they get home, duh. But this is hard because when you are that traveling spouse who's, switched time zones 3 times in 4 days and it's been really hard and I support my family or whatever, comes home and are totally burnt out and they're met at the door with a completely burnt out spouse handing them, a baby and a broken toaster and is mad at them already. Like we are mad already as soon as this non-integrated parent shows up to try to reintegrate. And I don't want to dwell on stereotypes, but I do think that is true. I mean, this could be true in a 2-women family too, 2 moms, that the mom who travels comes home and gets yelled at.
And this has been true for me. Amy and I just did a work trip where we went away for just 2 days, basically, to talk about business and the podcast. And,
right.
We were having nice meals and staying in a nice hotel, but it was what Amy calls deep work. We were really trying to think through problems and solve things. And it was mentally very taxing. And I think to my husband's eye, it was like, girls' trip. You got to go relax for 2 days. And I came home at 4:00 and it was like, this form is late and this. And I really found it kind of over.
Right.
What I really want to do is go lie down for an hour. And I do think that this is a really difficult dynamic there are times where my husband is traveling to the other side of the world. He's jet lagged. He's been in incredible stress. And he's also often bringing home some new problems that he picked up on the trip that he is trying to suss out. And, I've said before, we have the mode called the tunnel that he goes into where he's deep into his problem solving. Mm-hmm. And it's like I can look in his eyes and it's like, no one is home, Mrs. Torrance. He is still working those problems in his mind. And this is another thing for our family meeting conversation. When I come home from a business trip, I need 12 hours of padding where I am transitioning back into the house. I cannot step out of the car and walk in and be handed the broken toaster.
Yeah.
And those are hard conversations because I get it. My husband and I once had a terrible stomach flu together. We both had it. And we decided that everyone would get 2 hours in bed. And then at the end of 2 hours, you had to give up your bed spot and get out of the bed and watch it. We had 3 kids under 5 at the time.
Who had stomach flu also?
I'm sure. It was horrible.
Some combination. Yeah.
And at some point, I was laying in bed. I was deeply asleep. And my husband came in and said, it's my turn. And I was like, I would give you $1 million if you don't make me get out of bed. And he was like, get out of bed. It is my turn. And I think that you have to acknowledge that sometimes you're in really crisis moments and that there is no solution that is everybody gets their way and it looks great, And so I think it is fair for my spouse to say to me, I know I've been gone a long time, but I need 12 hours when I get home where I'm not running point. Hard.
I would have a hard time receiving that message, but I can see why that would be something that would need to happen.
Well, you might be able to say what I need is for you to come home, dial in for 4 hours, and then I will give you 12 hours off. You can make whatever compromise you need. But I definitely take for granted that my husband pulls up in the car and I'm in a bathrobe with a burning toaster in my hand. And it's just this is a nightmare.
You're previously in our family while you were gone, right? I'm going to briefly catch you up.
Oh my God. And I just think what a nightmare. Another shifting back to the at-home parent, messymotherhood.com has an article called The Art of Solo Parenting and Thriving When Your Spouse is Away. I mean, let's not set the bar at thriving. I love you, Messy Motherhood, but surviving. And this is something that came to me probably a week into this whole situation that I was in. Cook easy foods. My kids had pizza 3 times a week, 1 week. I mean, the pizza guy at our pizza stop is like,
You again?
oh, hey, how's it going? Here's your order. Like, as soon as I call in the order, he's like, all right, Meg, I'll see you soon. Like, he knows me. And it's not ideal, but I'm not going to make, especially a lot of the food we eat is like, you know, I make fancy chicken with a nice sauce and mashed potatoes and green beans, and the kids scrape the sauce off and complain. And there is no way I'm doing that when it's only me enjoying the meal.
Right. Yeah. Only you eating what is the full thing. Right.
So it's fine with me that I'm making chicken nuggets, I'm having a salad. Like, we're in survival mode. And I think that is a really, really good piece of advice.
I'm a big pasta maker when my spouse isn't around because, you know, he likes to eat more healthy.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
We will eat pasta every night. Sure. We all love pasta.
Really easy. She also says get help if you can, mother's helpers, drop in daycares, anything you can do to make your life easier.
I saw a meme on Facebook that relates to this. It was a woman enjoying some kind of an iced frappuccino, and it just sort of was like, did you all know that you can take your kids to the gym babysitting for $5 and then sit in the lobby of the gym and not actually work out?
They don't check that you're working out.
And yeah, and enjoy your icy beverage.
Keeping routines, I think, is really important. And one of our big routines is 8 o'clock bedtime when Dad's out of town. You don't have to go to sleep, but you have to get out of my face. Right. The other thing, and I just started doing this, is that I have a couple of friends who, whether it's book club or going for walks or seeing people, I really find that such an important part of my week. And I called a friend of mine and I'm like, well, I can't go out because my husband's not here. I don't leave my kids at home alone yet. And she came over to my porch and had a drink with me on my porch while the kids were doing video games. It is nice to find that connection when you're in this bad spot.
You deserve that. You deserve that adult conversation. And if it isn't with your partner.
I got some nice cheese, got a little cheese, and we had some, and it felt really civilized. And then I go in a little bit refreshed and a little bit less ready to just scream at my kids for the rest of the night.
Right.
Another thing that has hugely revolutionized this for me is the Google Doc, Amy. And I got this from you. I know you love a Google Doc.
I'm more of a workflowy person, but a repository of things. Yes, yes. Talk us
So
through it.
in our business, Amy and I have long since decided like no more emails back and forth. There is a repository of information. So if you go to the Google Sheet and you see it's been done, and not, you don't have to constantly have conversations about like, what is this? What is that? One of the problems that my husband and I were getting into was you were going to make that eye doctor appointment, but you didn't make it. So now we're having emails and I'm texting him and he's in the middle of a work meeting where like 10 people are yelling at him and he's getting like an angry text from his wife being like, what about the kid's eye doctor appointment? And he's like, oh, could you please give me a break? I really don't need this right now.
Right, right.
We set up a Google document that is our family to-do list. And it has the thing that needs to be done, who's doing it, and if there's a deadline. And then after it, it has notes. So for example, we needed to sign the kids up for their classes that they take in the fall. This was all happening like right at back to school, which is a lot of times where we're doing stuff. So I would write, you know, this kid needs to be signed up for his gymnastics for the semester. Can you do that? Because he would have downtime where it would be easy for him to make calls. Then he would write on the Google Sheet, he is signed up for Fridays at 5:30. He starts September 30th. And like, that's the only interaction we would have to have. And we could both do it on our own time.
That's just it. It's my favorite kind of work. It's remote and asynchronous. Your spouse who's in a different time zone can still go on discoverygymnastics.com and sign him up for his Friday class.
And it's a great thing to offload. It's another big part of the conversation. What does your day look like when you're there? Well, I wake up at 6 because I have jet lag, but the first meeting I have is at 9. So I have 3 hours in the morning where I can do annoying signing the kids up for CCD. And I can do annoying, like making eye doctor appointments. Okay, so everything that goes on the Google Doc that has to be done, that's just phone calls and forms and online, you can do.
That's great. And it also makes the work visible, going back to that Eve Rodsky in her book Fair Play. We interviewed her. It's a great episode. I'll put that link in the show notes as well. And part of it is really helping your spouse. What do we just call them? The spouse, the non-integrated spouse.
Yes.
There's that Emily needs to bring a birthday present to a party is not one thing. It's actually 10 things. That's 10 steps. In her book, she actually suggests like writing out the steps so that your spouse can see that. Now, are you going to take over this whole thing? Get Emily a present? Because if you don't do that, then like Emily needs a birthday present, then your spouse, like a little like badminton shuttlecock, will be like, I don't know what she likes, right? Like, I don't know what
it's
she
back
likes.
to you.
Right. Back to you. I left it on the hall table. No. It has to be wrapped. We don't have wrapping paper. Go get some. Like, this is what getting Emily a birthday present means. It seems to me that this Google Sheet is, in a large sense, moving you towards that, which is very useful in terms of your spouse who's not around getting it.
And this is the stuff that they don't talk about on Bachelor in Paradise, guys. This is the stuff that isn't like going to the palapa and having margaritas. Like, this is running the business of a family together. And I, again, think it is part of accepting that, like, your life is boring and monotonous now, you know? And that making a spreadsheet that helps you both function in the business of running your family is really, really crucial. The military-wife-and-mom.com talks about this in terms of deployments, which I think is kind of the ultimate version of this heavy lift.
Yeah.
And she had a couple of other tips that I thought were interesting. I mean, her first tip is take care of yourself, which I think we've talked a little bit about. But this is a good time to be like, this is going to be really hard. Kate Bowler said this on her episode, and I loved it. This is going to be a hard journey. What can you put down?
Yes.
Like, put down the stuff you don't need to carry right now.
Yes. And Pooja Lakshman has made the point that for some of us, the yoga class is taking care of yourself. For some of us, getting rid of the idea that I have to also be working out right now is what you put down. It's different for each person.
Absolutely. And I think for me, it's this thing of like, it's chicken nuggets and pizza, guys. That's what we're having all week. And it's 1 week out of our year, or it's 5 weeks out of our year. It's not going to kill you to eat a lot of pizza. She suggests, I thought this was a cute idea, especially for a deployment, a daddy kisses countdown jar, like Hershey's Kisses in a jar for every night he's away, and you take one, say something about him. I did find in my situation, marking the days on the calendar was really important for my kids. Like, this is how long it's going to be. This is what it's going to involve. And really being clear, this is the other thing, please. And I have really just had this conversation with my husband. He is the guy of like, I'll be home at 3:30 because that's when his plane lands at JFK.
Right.
No, you will not be home at 3:30 because now I have 3 upset kids who you told you were going to be home.
And an extremely upset spouse. Right.
You are going to be home at 7:30. Surprise us at 5:30 if the traffic's light.
Yeah. I have an algorithm. Like, my spouse, every time he tells me when he's going to be at something, it's like, X + 2 parenthesis, squared. Like, there's no way. He's always overly optimistic. And he's starting to figure this out over time. Like, that only ends badly for you.
Right. Then you get there and everyone's mad.
Because you're furious when it's 5:30. Just tell me 5:30 and it would have been fine. Yeah. You're getting yourself into trouble by doing that. But that is a tendency.
One of her other points that I want to finish on is have a stay connected plan, which I think is also important. My kids now all have phones. And so what they were doing is 4 of us with all of our phones were calling my husband when we wanted to check in. So he was getting like 12 to 16 calls a day.
Busiest man in the world.
Yeah. And he is, as we've mentioned, kind of dealing with a lot already.
Yes. And enjoys long periods of uninterrupted concentration to solve those problems.
Yeah, he's doing some deep work. So it's not great for him to be like, the new Marvel movie is coming out when? Great. Thanks for letting me know. Click.
Oh, here comes your sister. Yeah.
And so we finally decided, like, okay, we're going to have a daily call at this time. And we put it on the family calendar. And if you can't make it, you have to let us know, and then we'll move it to a different time. It's happening, but we're just going to make it at specific times. And then the other nice thing that we started doing, which was fun, is we would cook something that he likes for dinner, and then we would have a FaceTime dinner.
Aww.
So if he could take a break during dinner, we would put the FaceTime call on and we would all be eating, and it was like having dad at dinner. Now, when you're have a deployed spouse, that's not going to happen in exactly the same way. But figure out routines around communicating with your person who's away.
I love this dinner time idea. We started doing that during the pandemic sometimes with either set of grandparents. We just would sit down at dinner and sort of have, I think you told me how to do this, just set up the iPad or the laptop and they're there on FaceTime and you're just having dinner. We're just sort of there and there's a secondary activity. The kids are eating dinner. It isn't like you've combed their hair and they're, sitting on the couch in a row like, hi, I'm good, right? They don't.
I don't want to be doing, can I go now?
When they're forced into those conversations.
I'm bored.
Yeah, they don't want to do it, but that sort of more relaxed thing, the kids talk more. And also it isn't like another thing on your list to get them all on the couch at, 8:45 so that daddy can say good morning. So you have to get up even earlier. Work it into something that you're already doing is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Amy, we solved it. This is not solvable because it's terrible. This is one of those situations where you're not going to get to, what's great? Having a spouse who's away a lot. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can make it so much better with just, I think, some pretty simple adjustments.
I like this.
Talk to me next week when my husband leaves again and we'll see how great it's going.
I'm going to put a link to the other episodes we mentioned and some of the articles that Margaret found for research this week. Put it all in the show notes. As always, you can always tap or swipe wherever you're listening. And while you're at it, you can give us some stars. You can give us some love.
Star us, guys.
People have been doing it. Thank you. I see the ratings and reviews going up on Apple Podcasts. So thank you for doing that.
So important. I know we've been around a long time now, but still, every new rating and review that we get bumps us a little bit higher in the podcast algorithm and helps new people find the podcast. We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening, friends. And thanks for those who reached out when I was complaining so much about my life and said, you hoped everything was fine. Everything is fine, just a little frustrating and annoying. And now I have allergies, but I'm doing great. Thank you for your concern.
Talk to you next week.